The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering do or die around me. You say your last good night while I get
There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
The ammunition used by Psywar.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldier, and at the same time
is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
gripping at my skin, the walls of night closing.
But the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
As I wait to say my last goodbye.
These are the Psywar soldiers.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of the host, producers, or any affiliated organization. This podcast may include sensitive discussion related to topics such as child protection, abuse, and criminal behavior. The content is intended for informational, educational, and awareness purposes only, does not constitute legal, medical, or professional advice. Any reference to individuals, cases, or events are based on personal perspective, professional experience, or publicly available information and should not be interpreted as statements of fact regarding any specific person or situation. The host, speakers, and producers disclaim any liability for actions taken by listeners based on the content of this podcast. Listeners are encouraged to seek qualified professional guidance for their specific circumstances. Listeners' discretion is advised. All individuals are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law.
All right, guys, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good.
Doing good. We can hear you, Scrappy.
Good.
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 So last week's show was okay, man. We did we talked well, we always try to stick with a topic. It just ends up going down some other rabbit hole, which is fine with me because caught up is exactly what this show is about. But it brings on a different cast of characters than some of the Blount County Breakdown does. I think if you're watching this show, it's because you're interested in some of the, I don't know, maybe national type politics or conspiracy
the
theories.
Fringe, the stuff out on the Fringe.
Yeah, maybe some civics and that kind of stuff. We're all a little bit passionate. We're all a little bit passionate about that kind of stuff. So, what say you guys?
Oh yeah, I got called Civics man this past week. I got on, Desmond give his ideas about his picks on the thing. I called him out on it. I was like, y'all are quite a pretty good line of rhinos listed right there, and this one old boy took offense to it. He kept saying, you need to post that on yours. And I'm like, dude, I can post it anywhere I want to. Ain't got nothing about it. I have freedom of speech. This is a public square. He posted it. It came on my feed. I can respond to it. I give him my opinion. You don't like it? Too bad, too sad. And it kept going. And finally I said, dude, I don't care what you think. Don't care what you feel. I ain't going to stop. So you might be just shut up, sit down, and go on. And I've not heard nothing from him since. So.
How about you, Heath? I don't know that you get picked on so much by people as much as you do about censorship, huh?
I get picked on a lot.
I get picked on a lot. But you put some stuff out there that make people think. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing with me. Now, I cover. Okay, first off, my name. That's a hashtag. Do you know what a hashtag is?
Let us know.
Okay, it's 2 11s. One of them's been inverted. Okay, it's the same thing. If I was to tell you about a crucifix, when I see a crucifix, I see a cube. What happens when you take a geometric shape of a cube and you unfold it? It coincidentally forms a cross. Okay, so hashtag, that means something has been rehashed. All right, CC2 Arms, that stands for Citizens Call to Arms. You see, years and years ago, they took away my so-called right to bear arms. Okay, I can go serve this country, but now I'm not allowed to have a gun to protect myself. Well, trouble is that even if I had lots of guns, they wouldn't protect me anyway, because the people that that are really the problem, that are really the oppressors in this nation, they don't do so with a gun. They do so because you're an idiot. All of us. I mean, even when you go to court, we talked about this a little bit last week. When you go to court, the very instant that you show up with an attorney, you are now legally a ward. And an attorney, their job first and foremost is a court officer. So even though you paid them, they can only give you remedy that is at the benefit of that position, meaning they're not working for you. They work foremost for their employer, which is this court, right? So how do you so if I want
under Article 3 of the United States Constitution, a state judge cannot judify over a state case because a state prosecutor cannot try you with a state judge. That has to be a federal. At that point, whenever you get a state charge against you, when the state has a charge against you, that has to be judified in the federal courts, not in the state. So any and every adjudication that is done on a state level, where it says the state of Tennessee versus whosoever,
Yeah.
that is supposed to be sent to a federal court, and a federal judge is who adjudicates that.
Hey,
Because it is no longer in the state. It is a conflict of interest for a state judge to adjudicate a state case.
Hey, I
And
had
that's constitutional.
a few
That's
years
not
back,
law.
Scrappy, a few years back, I had to do my divorce. And when I did my divorce, I was in jail at the time. Who did the divorce was William R. Brewer. Now, since I was in jail,
Felon who shouldn't be behind the bench. But
since I was
I digress.
Since I was in jail, I was automatically indigent. They had to appoint me counsel. So they appointed me a so-called public defender. They appointed me this black man, not that there's anything wrong with that, but they appointed me this black man by the name of Charles Carpenter. He has since been disbarred. I'll point that out foremost. He's already been disbarred. But I digress. So I'm in jail, and I'm thinking, my beautiful wife's leaving me. I'm sitting in jail while she's screwing the milkman. How much worse can it possibly get? Now I got this black attorney that doesn't much care for me. Well, you know who the assistant district attorney for the state who's brought the case against me? It was Carol Carpenter. That was the black attorney's wife. And when I get up on the stand, it was pretty much, Mr. Bettag, you keep everything that you're in possession of. Miss Bettag, you keep everything you're in possession of. But, Your Honor, I'm in jail. I mean, I don't have nothing. Well, then that makes this court case really pretty easy then. Then they go and they charge me. They had me pay alimony. I'm supposed to pay like $200 a week child support and alimony. And I'm in jail. So by the time anything could be rectified, I'm already like $5-6 grand in debt. And my thinking at the time was, well, wait a minute. The DA that's prosecuting me with this case is your wife, and my lawyer is her husband. It can't really work this way. This isn't how courts work. That's an obvious conflict of interest. But at the time, I was going through disability, getting my disability. So a few short months later, I get my disability, and then the state's position is, well, we can't prosecute you anymore now because you have disability. So since it's not a case that we can even prosecute anyway, there's really no reason for us to do anything. And I'm like, well, okay, so I get off lucky because the case was already pretty much over. But what about the next people? Right. I mean, that was and that's just the tip of the iceberg. When you're facing with these people, they don't operate under the law as you perceive it to be. You notice that when you go in a courtroom, that lady, she's blindfolded. And that judge, he's wearing that black, what you call that garment that judge is wearing.
I call them a black robe. I don't call them judges.
It's got an actual name.
Oh.
It's called a mourning robe. MOURNING. And what it represents is death of justice as you perceive it to be. That's also why the little lady with the scale, she's blindfolded. And then there's other tenets like no truth shall enter any courtroom. And a lot of people don't realize that. It's just a game.
Right. Okay. So hang on, Scrap. Since you guys went down this path right here, let's talk about the bar. Okay.
The British Accreditation Registry.
It's funny you say it that way, Scrappy. You say it the same way, don't you?
British Accreditation Registry.
Because that's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah.
That's what it is.
They are not. Everybody says, well, the lawyers are they're part of the state. No, they're not.
When you walk into a
they're
courtroom,
British Crown. They are run and operated by the British Crown. It's a club.
When you walk into that courtroom, attorney. The first thing you need to tell that judge in front of everybody, when you're still standing, the court takes notice of your honor's judicial oath of office. You are acting as judge, not banker. And more times than not, they're going to tell you to shut the fuck up. They're going to try to kick you out of the courtroom because for them to conduct business in maritime admiralty court requires you to be subservient to stuff that you don't comprehend, stuff that I mean, there's people that spend the entirety of their lifetime just studying legalese.
Right. Yeah.
It's an entire. I mean, you can spend 50 years and you're still not an expert, and that's just the twisted, confounded, confusing language regarding the legal realm.
So
not to mention,
that's the Black's Dictionary that they use, and it goes way back, and it was created at Harvard Law School, and it's a corporate book of law, not a book of civil law. It's a book of corporate law. Whenever they corporatized our country, you are now under obligations of everything that you sign is a contract, including your birth certificate and your Social Security.
Yeah, you
number,
notice
which I used to have one that said not for identification uses.
It's kind of like
Lost
when
it,
you get
got a
pulled
new
over
one, and it doesn't say it no more.
when they get you for your license. You ever notice that? You see, to have a crime, to be charged under the violation of a criminal statute, you have to have things. You have one of which is you have to have a victim. If there isn't or can't be established a victim, then that means that automatically the event, whatever it was, is classified under civil statutes. Okay, so if I'm driving down the road and I'm on my way to take this fat girl to Burger King, and I get pulled over, since there was no property damage and there was nobody injured, there's no crime. Now, there's still been a violation of civil statute, but civil statute is no longer something they can put you in jail for. You see,
Actually, it's not even civil statute; it's policy.
Yeah,
I know. We've established.
We discussed the policy deal.
We've
the policy. Yeah. It's not civil statute; it's policy.
So
because the civil statute is a whole different ballgame. Civil statute goes back into legal common law, while a policy is an administrative statute, not a civil statute.
Okay, so what it says when you guys said that British American Register or Board of Attorneys Regulators, this claims it doesn't stand for neither, but it stands for the wood bar. Literally refers to a physical wooden railing or barrier in a traditional European and English courtroom.
Notice it was a European and English courtroom.
Okay,
so
hang on,
actually,
Scrappy, you brought up common law too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So where it said common law, let me get to it. You go ahead. Okay, common law. It says the United States legal system was built on English common law. Yeah.
Which the Magna Carta was signed under duress, so that would be void
which it
anyway.
actually goes back to the what is it?
The Continental European Civil Law?
No, it goes further back than that, to 1400s, to when the King Edward or King James the First. His lords come to him and said, we're not going to deal with this anymore. You're taking all our money and giving us nothing. So we're not dealing with it no more. So they come out, the Magna Carta. That's what I'm trying to think of. This goes back to the Magna Carta.
Okay.
It's where common law goes back to. And it's based on Deuteronomy. Yeah. And it's not based on anything British.
Yeah, but the Magna Carta, that was entered into under duress, which automatically null and voids it as a contract.
Right. So the word is D-E-C-I-S-I-S.
They'll chop his head off.
I-S-I-S. Is that deceasus? D-E-C-I-S-I-S. Deceasus? It's called the stare decisis. And it says the Latin principle means to stand by things decided. When courts decide a novel question, the ruling becomes binding precedent over or for lower courts, right?
Yeah.
So my biggest thing with the bar association, besides all the we can argue over details about what it means and
Yeah.
doesn't mean, which I think they want us to argue over that kind of stuff
Yeah.
anyway. So
And it is they are valid points, but it's here's the thing. It's just like when you hear a lot of the people within the sovereign movement and stuff. Myself, I'll use myself as a perfect example. I got a disability check this month. All right. Okay. So I can't. It's an all or nothing thing. I can't sit there and use the name of the straw man, carry the driver's license of the straw man, take a financial payment as the straw man, and then get in trouble, go to court and say, but that's not me. Y'all don't have no claim on me because I'm the natural person, and that's that's a fictitious legal entity that you all set up. If you're on that argument, you have to be all the way in it. It's just like I could go out today. I could file an affidavit of true identity. I could renounce my citizenship. But if I go cash my check, then that still counts as you can't do bits and pieces of it. You have to be
right.
You gotta go all the way in or all the way out.
Yeah.
There's no in between. I understand this. There's no way you can get around it.
So,
they've got it.
Because I've seen like when they when they serve a warrant, for instance. If you come to my house and you got a warrant, okay, well, who's the warrant for? You have a capitis demersa name. You have a title on that piece of paper. Okay, well, I'm whatever the heck it is I am. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, my creator created me. I don't know really what I can tell you. You got a name on a piece of paper, and then there's me. I'm not whatever that name is on the paper, So, but you can't have those arguments without having all of the rest of them. It's like, well, I went to the Walmart. They see me go to the Walmart, use a debit card.
Yep.
So there I'm sitting there and I'm conducting commerce as that representative spokesperson for that entity.
Right.
Or you produce your driver's license to buy a fifth of liquor or a 6-pack of beer or a pack of cigarettes or to cash a check. You have to produce that driver's license to show identification. So you are living in that. When you go get your driver's license, you sign that contract.
Yeah, see, the government
stating that is who you are. You accept that all capital letter corporation as your identity.
Because the government is a mind control system. It can only govern with the consent of the governed.
Right.
And who are the governed? Hey, shit, the governed ain't me. The governed ain't you. It's those names on that paper.
Right.
And if it all goes back to your original long form version of your original birth certificate, and that thing was sold to the Vatican probably before you were ever even born.
Psychological warfare, which is what I love right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
see, if a person wanted to, you can file what they call with the Vatican, what they call an ecclesiastical depot. And basically what it is you're saying that birth certificate is a contract. I wasn't privy to the terms of that contract. Therefore, there could be no meeting of the minds. Me and Mom and the doctors couldn't have agreed because I was not privy to the terms of that contract. So that contract is void. And since that contract's void, I no longer authorize you to conduct business on behalf of that contract. But it's a long,
So, but look, based on that way of thinking, then you would be under the care of the supposed mom or dad until you reach whatever age they said you became an adult, right?
But no, because you're created equal.
Right.
Your creator created us equal. The only way that I can give you subservience over me, the only way you can preside over me is if I willfully subject myself to your authority. It's not just inherent. We're all created, born. This is the premise behind where our founding fathers said, well, I can't take your rights because I don't know where they came from. They, in all likelihood, came from the same place my rights came from. I believe in God, and this guy over here believes in Yahweh, and this guy over here believes in Buddha. And wherever it is that rights, rule of law, and all of this comes from, it's somewhere else. And without it being able to be dispensed, then it likewise can't be taken back.
Yeah. So getting people to think like that, Heath, is not easy. It's not,
it's like when you get pulled over, when you get pulled over, even if you got all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed, I can tell you what they will do. They will jerk your ass out the car. They will beat the shit out of you. They'll take you back to the jail. They will handcuff and strap you to a chair. They will further beat the shit out of you. And when you go to the hospital and they're sitting there sewing you up, they're going to laugh about the charges of assault that they're going to stack on top of you. I had my face fractured in like 3 places. I got 8 stitches. I had 27 burns, second and third degree burns on the back of my neck from they tased me, not just after I was unconscious. They still kept tasing me. I was unaware of any of this. I woke up in surgical ICU. I stayed in intensive care for a week, and I did everything right. I filed my own. I'm gonna file my own lawsuit. You motherfuckers don't know who you're messing with. I'm intelligent. I followed all my own motions and everything. And that's about the time I get taken up to the judge's chambers. And there was a guy in there by the name of Mr. Cunningham. He might even still be the attorney for the state. I don't know. This has been a few years back. And they said, you done fucked up, Heath. Well, what did I do? Well, you see this here paperwork? It appears that the clerk's office got the date wrong. So that means that we are dismissing all of this paperwork, but because you took the audacity and filed this paperwork, you will never get commissary in our jail again. And I said, well, wait a minute, I'm going to be here for another year. Why don't I get commissary? Because you owe us like $6,000 in legal fees. And in a federal case, when you sue a municipality, when they find against you, it's permanent. There is no appeal. There's no, we can bring this up in 6 more months. And from that point forward, my life really become hell here. They really started doing things, and they get away with it. Why? Well, it's real simple. It's simple math. I got a bigger gun than you. I got friends with bigger guns than you, and that's how they operate. And this is why, like, when I talk to sheriffs, show me when you can show me a deputy. Well, let's play with Blount County. Walk up to a deputy, say, officer, without looking at your badge, how many points make up the star on that badge? You will not find but maybe one, if that even knows. And then ask him which directions do them points point to and why do they? They won't know. Then say, well, what about the other sigils on that badge? Do you know what those mean or how they come to be there? Well, I don't know. How about why is the lights on the cop car red and blue? Well, I don't know that either. Or you'll have them laugh at you like they did me, and they said, ha ha, joke's on you, because now they're just blue and white. That's what the officer said to me while he was beating the shit out of me, because they don't know. That's the truth. They do not know. Why? Because the oldest fraternal lodge in America is who establishes doctrine. And who is that? That's the Master Mason Lodge, Philadelphia. They're the only private corporation in the entirety of existence that has a charter of sovereignty that's accepted in every country in the entire world. Well, what's a charter of sovereignty, you might ask? Well, when a member gets in trouble, they don't get in trouble. The only time they can get in trouble is when the big wigs say that it's acceptable for them to get in trouble. The rest of the time, you cannot prosecute them. You cannot question them about prosecuting. Now, where all do these privileges extend to, you might ask? If that's the top, where else do they go? Well, your Lions Club, your Kiwanis Club, your Optimist Club. You know why? Because those fraternities were established after the fact, and they share the same privileges that were established by the father lodge's charter of sovereignty. And it goes real deep. Think about how many other fraternities you know of. There's that Fraternal Order of Police. Well, yeah, they get them same privileges too. How about more? Well, there's political rights action committees. You know, you always see these different politicians taking money from this particular political action committee and this one. They have the same privileges. You can't, the only time you can prosecute them for a crime is when they allow you to prosecute them for a crime. And it's from the ground all the way to the top. The lawyers, the judges, even down to your doctors. You know what do you think when you go?
Here we
You ever
go.
notice you go to a pharmacy? You ever notice that staff of caduceus on the Walgreens sign, the Hooks Pharmacy? You ever wondered what them serpents wrapped around that staff actually account for? That's it goes back a long way. But in modern times, it basically stands for they have the alchemical medical rights to alter your DNA at will. And it comes from a power that is not of this world. It's like just like it says in the Bible, we battle against spiritual wickedness in high places. It's not against flesh and blood. Flesh and blood, these are just pawns, you know? And you can't really fight these people. The only way to do it is strength in numbers. That's why they mock us with stuff like united we stand. Unite? We ain't never united. Like right now, I can't even go to the damn drive-in because there's a movie about that dumbass George Washington dude on it. I say dumbass George Washington because why? I've done my homework. Where was George Washington in the year 1776?
All right, time out. This is what I was talking about, the rabbit holes, because we were talking about the bar, and look how far that went down that
It's all
hole.
tangled into one thing.
Yeah, it's like like I said, it's a web, and it's like a knitted blanket. When you grab one strand, you can unravel that whole blanket just with one strand.
So let me ask you this. I asked about the difference between constitutional law and case law, and it begins to show me that over the centuries, or over, I guess, between the 20th century and the 21st century, that more and more case law took over, while constitutional law not necessarily was put on the back burner, but because it was so, they keep trying to say that the Constitution's broad because it only has 4,500 words in it or whatever,
It is
and
not. That's
it's
that's the
solely up
problem.
for
It is not
interpretation.
broad.
I
No,
know.
it is not. There's no interpretation of the Constitution. The Constitution is straight up, right out, 100%, word for word. You have got this many enumerated. The government has so many enumerated functions, not rights, not laws, functions that they are allowed to do. Everything else that is not written in this Constitution falls back to who? The state,
Yeah.
and eventually the people.
And a constitution does nothing more than list the rights that you already have.
Right, there are rights.
Well, all they're doing, all the Constitution is doing is stating these are rights that the federal government or state government cannot do anything about.
Right.
These are rights that the people have and the people are honored with and were God given, and they are not to be walked on or impeded, or, in the words of the Second Amendment, infringed, which means to be captured by a foreign country and held at
which we've been
bay.
since 1871, I would argue.
Okay. So, hang on real quick. Ed, Kim, everybody, Woody, and Heath is being polite on Facebook.
Oh, I've seen people in chat.
It's funny though that you can. Sorry, it's so long-winded. I just thought that was funny. So this is what it says: the nature of the U.S. Constitution, broad principles versus specific rules. The U.S. Constitution is a remarkably brief document, roughly 4,500 words in its original text. It sets out broad principles, examples: due process of law, unreasonable search and seizures, equal protections, rather than specific regulations. And because the Constitution rarely defines these phrases and details, courts were forced to interpret what they mean by impractical scenarios. I don't know that they were forced.
Yeah. And
they weren't forced.
It didn't need to be long because it's basically giving what your freedom is constituted by, and that is people.
Right.
People.
Yeah.
Well,
And
the
I
thing
mean,
is, the courts that started defining and giving their opinion. Well, their opinion is like any other opinion.
Yeah.
You know, they're like assholes.
Yeah.
Everybody's got one that usually stinks.
it's like the
You know, and so their opinion means nothing. They have no power. They have zero. They are the weakest link in the chain of the government. And their opinions are not to be taken as law. Their opinions are their decisions on what they think. And then it is up to the lower courts to act upon those opinions. And then it's up to the people to sit there and say, you ain't going to act on that. We don't agree with it. And we shut it down. Don't care what you say. What you say doesn't matter. Legislators are supposed to stand up and tell the judges the same thing. That is not what the law says. That's not what your opinion doesn't matter. This is what the law says.
Okay.
And this is
So
what the law means.
it says the rise of legal realism in legal education. In the late 19th and 20th centuries, legal education underwent a massive transformation pioneered by institutions like Harvard Law School. It says the case method. Law school shifted from teaching abstract constitutional philosophy or natural law to teaching case method, studying real court opinions, case books to analyze how judges actually reason. Legal realism. The philosophy argued that the law is not just a text on paper, but an evolving living system shaped by human judges, social conditions, and judicial experiences.
Again, the judicial system started taking control, giving theirself more power than what they actually have. Thomas Jefferson stated it plainly. That is the weakest. They are the weakest form of the government, and the purpose of that was that if we allow them to become a equal form of government with the legislative and executive, then we will have an oligarchy controlling our country, which oligarchy is the
what we got now.
Controlling the many, which
Could
is
be.
what we got.
It's what we got now.
So listen to this. So since they changed that from the 19th and the 20th century, they've slowly gotten away from constitutional law into case law, and everything's based off interpretation, which is when you guys talk about the whole scenario with attorneys and this, that, and the other, it was almost sort of like by design. And this is a bar that you have to pass in order to be an attorney in this country. I think it says 31 states, maybe more. But just so, then it says practicality in the courtroom. For an attorney arguing a case today, citing a broad constitutional clause is often too vague to win an argument before a judge. Why? That's what they're supposed to stand on.
Most cases don't even. Most cases don't ever even see a courtroom.
That's true. Very true.
The majority, or like, look at your. Okay, in my lifetime, I know for a fact that the income tax was ruled unconstitutional in my lifetime. It was also subsequently ruled unconstitutional 2 other times. 3 times over the course of the last 80 years, income tax on Americans was ruled unconstitutional by United States Supreme Court.
Right.
Okay, let's say tomorrow you get all hopping mad because you're paying so much in federal taxes and you decide to sue who was the party that was taking them. You would go after the IRS, right? Well, where's the IRS's headquarters? Puerto Rico. You think that was by accident? And Puerto Rico is an island in international waters, just kind of like Washington, D.C. So if you wanted to...
It's a...
now we call it...
territory.
Now it's a territory. But when
it's
the
territory
IRS...
of the United States. The same as Samoa.
Now it is. But when that place was founded, it wasn't. So it's grandfathered in. You can't even sue. When you realize just how bad that you've been fucked over, you can't even, there is no, and see, a court can only hear a case that hearing that case can provide remedy to one party or the other. If no remedy can be provided, they can't even hear the case.
Right. They call it no standing.
Yeah.
No
So
standing. When you
if
have
you
no
want to,
standing, which a lot of our Second Amendment cases tend to fall under.
so you pay almost right now. The average American pays around 56% of their total income in tax, and that's bullshit for one. But for two, the founders only gave you one option to deal with it. It's the uncomfortable one that nobody wants to talk about, nobody wants to do, but it's the only, I mean, things can either revolve this way or they can revolve another, but they all require a changing of the way the direction the voltage is taking. In other words, things need revolted.
Right.
Boston Tea Party, or like I said, I posted on a comment on some of your videos about the commissioners. Sounds like some of them need to be taken to the old courthouse, not the Justice Center, the old courthouse. Where
on that oak tree out front.
They put the Christmas trees every year.
An oak tree out front,
and they need to be tarred and feathered. They tar and feather them. Why? Because until you do, you're not getting any remedy. You think you go vote Democrat, you're getting the same. You're going to vote Republican, you're going to get the same. Because the system has been altered to such a state that remedy, they're going to investigate themselves, find wrongdoing, and then persecute themselves? No, they're going to take the one patsy that you locate. Well, that one's a pedophile. That one's a crook. Okay. Well, we got another one for you, and they're going to give you another one.
So hang on. I don't necessarily disagree with all that you say, but some of what you say for sure. So goes back to citing a specific binding appellate and Supreme Court decisions that resolve the exact same legal question carries much greater weight. People believe because they hear it from the Supreme Court that it carries much more weight than actually what we, the people, have instituted, right?
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
It carries more weight at a federal level.
Right, at a federal level, for sure.
But because states have retained their entire rights to their sovereignty, it would depend on what arena you're at.
We've got the supremacy clause of the Constitution that supersedes all the state laws. Yep. But the 10th Amendment clarifies.
Hang on.
What?
I'm glad you brought that up because look here. It said how case law subverted the Constitution. And the very first thing it says, Scrappy, is judicial legislation, unwritten amendments. The Constitution explicitly outlines a strict process for amendments in Article 10, requiring a 2/3 vote in Congress and ratification by 3/4 of the states. When judges use precedent to read brand new rights or broad federal powers into vague constitutional phrases, critics argue that they are amending the Constitution from the bench, bypassing we the people and the elected state legislators, which is what you were just saying.
Exactly. The 10th Amendment states that all power is given to the federal government under enumerated rules that they have to follow. And everything else is given under the states and to the people. So if it's not stated in the Constitution, it's unconstitutional. Abortion is unconstitutional.
I agree.
Gay marriage, like it or not, is unconstitutional.
A felon
the
having
judges,
a gun?
the court,
exactly.
A felon having a gun is unconstitutional.
So,
but that's where they fall back into case law. That's where they come up with their case law. That history. In the history of.
Yep. So it says number 2, the danger of precedent stacking. Case law builds on itself incrementally over decades, meaning that each judge is, it's presented to them, they get it, so that they keep continuing to present, case after case, and just it continues to stack up to where that a court might make a slight stretch of constitutional phrases in the 30s. 50 years later, another court uses that 1930 decision to stretch the concept even further. You see what I mean? And after a century of precedent stacking, the resulting legal doctrine may bear almost no resemblance of what the framers actually wrote or intended in 1787. Then the next thing, Scrappy, the Commerce Clause expansion. A classic example often cited by the originalists is the Commerce Clause, Article 1, Section H, which gives Congress powers to regulate commerce among several states. Through a chain of 20th century judicial precedents, most notably Wickard versus Filburn in 42, the Supreme Court interpreted interstate commerce so broadly that it allowed federal authority over activities that were purely local and non-commercial. So these case laws have taken over constitutional authority.
ATF being one of them.
Qualified immunity.
Secondly, the Glock cases where they are restricting or cutting out ownership and being able to buy a Glock pistol.
I can't even 3D print a gun now. They're trying to ban
has fallen
the ability to 3D print one.
fallen under the Commerce Clause. That's the biggest fight that's in the case in the courts right now, is with the Glock gun being illegal in 14 states. I think now that they 14 states have outlawed them.
Yeah.
And all because of a illegal item that if you purchase it, it's illegal. You're violating the law, and if you put it in the gun, it's illegal. You're violating the law. But again, a case law that if under the founding of the Constitution, what our founding fathers had, like that, it was under the militia regulation in Article 3, Section 8, subsections 15 to 18. The militia are the people, and the people are the ones who are the law enforcement. We are supposed to have a grand jury that is a group of 12 unanimous individuals who go into a courtroom, and without a judge, without a lawyer, without a DA, nobody present, if they have any questions concerning the laws, they can have a DA come in. The district attorney, that's his job, is to educate the grand jury on what law precedents that they are voting on. Then they send him out. They argue and they vote, and if they have a action for a subpoena, then they call up the militia to initiate the subpoenas and do the arrest and subjugate the warrants. That's our judicial system in our country as it was created. No sheriff, no DA that goes into a courtroom in front of a judge, no judge sitting there and judiciating on any case that has not been brought up before a grand jury. Everything else is null and void till that grand jury has been met, has done their investigation, and they are the ones who initiate the warrants. Nobody else. Not some magistrate at midnight at the damn Justice Center. And you know why there's no oak tree in front of the Justice Center? That oak tree that's in front of our courthouse, you go to Athens, there's one in front of Athens courthouse. You go to Chattanooga, and Chattanooga's original courthouse, there's one sitting in front of it. That is the tree of justice.
Okay.
And that's the one that's supposed to be fertilized with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It's what that tree was a symbol of. The tree of liberty.
Probably true.
That's exactly
most
true.
definitely true.
That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. So
And so they didn't want that at the Justice Center. The Injustice Center is what it should
Yeah.
be called, because everything that they do is illegal
Corrupt.
and unconstitutional and violates every single right and every single precedence and every single thing that this country stands for.
all right.
And don't speak out about it.
Let's get back to the qualified immunity, all right? So another widely cited example is qualified immunity, a judicial doctrine created by the Supreme Court in 82. It says underlying federal statute passed by Congress contains no mention of immunity for government officials who violate civil rights. Critics from across the political spectrum argue that the judge-made rule directly subverts both constitutional protections and statutory law by making it extremely difficult for citizens to hold officials accountable, which is, I think, the tree of liberty that you were just talking about.
Cops. When the cop illegally comes into your house, shoots your dog, shoots your cat, and then runs your neighbor over as he's leaving because he was at the wrong house. He was really supposed to go to the house next door. You can't sue him. He's got qualified immunity. And even if you do sue him and you manage to win, which is almost unheard of, he's not going to pay you.
No, I'm sure it comes out of some.
It comes out of your tax dollars. It comes out of your tax dollars. You pay yourself.
So this just goes into everything that we've been talking about. That the bar, as far as I'm concerned, is screwing with the legal authority in the country based on the fact that that's a qualification that you have to pass.
Well, that is what its job is. I mean, it's not there for your benefit. You ever wondered why your kid's wearing the mortar and the board on his hat whenever he graduates? You ever wondered what that board, It's okay when you de-ice a windshield. What are you doing? You're removing ice, right? I'm taking something away. I'm going to de-ice it. So when you graduate college and you get a degree, what are you taking away?
A piece of paper that says you got a degree.
A degree means you've lost something. It means that of the field of infinite possibility of thought, you have decided that you're going to align with this particular school of thought, and you're going to disregard all other.
I don't disagree with that. I don't necessarily mean that when you physically do that, that's exactly what you mean. But I will say that that type of influence in colleges and universities is exactly what
It's high schools.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
It's kindergarten now. They do the same thing in kindergarten. They give them the same thing, the little cap and the thing, and they do the little.
And this is why
thing.
They asked. Okay, so John D. Rockefeller, he makes a speech at a board meeting, and they say he doesn't. The only way to get a nation to make money off of a nation is you need a nation of workers. You don't want people that think. So how do you make, if we wanted to start with nothing and build a nation of nothing but workers, they're going to supply and perpetually this 1% with their resource. How do you do that?
We go to China.
No, you go to the kids. You go to kids. And he went into all the coal mining towns. Look here, we're going to give John Boy, we're going to give him an education on the grounds that he goes to our school. He learns our method and our system. And then we're going to give y'all an allowance that you can spend here at the company store. And then all of a sudden, within 5 years, the Rockefeller Foundation bought up every fucking school in America. Then pretty soon, we didn't have school, we didn't have pharmacies. You didn't have to be a doctor, to be a pharmacist, you didn't have to go to school. That knowledge was passed down from generationally, okay? Well, all of a sudden, now we have medical schools. Why did they want you to go to medical school? So that you could be licensed to prescribe their dope. And I say dope intentionally. They weren't giving you roots and berries that would treat your ulcers naturally. They were giving you pharmakia, But
Well,
which is where
let
you
me
get
ask
the
you
word
this.
pharmacy from.
Would you rather have somebody operate on you that had a degree and training and all that stuff to do the operation versus somebody that was
I would rather be
handed
away.
down?
Actually, I
If
would rather have my
I
granny
would rather
give
you
me
do
a
it.
remedy to take care of what that's
That's
ailing
not what I
me
said.
as I
Not a
would
river,
let,
not a
as I
cold.
would
I'm talking
let.
surgery.
I'm not talking a cold. I'm talking about an actual remedy. Cancer, all that stuff has been cured a long time ago.
Yeah.
But pharmacia and the medical industry has fought to suppress that
Yeah.
intelligence,
It's
that
like
knowledge for years because they could not patent a natural remedy.
Like right now.
So they fought that, and they put people in jail
How
for
many
years.
kids locally right now I'll just name off a few off the top of my head. Vyvanse, Ritalin, Retlin, which is the brand name form of Ritalin, Adderall. Now, you ain't got to be a chemist. Those are all amphetamines. Now tell me the difference between those amphetamines and your local meth dealer down the street. Tell me the difference between one amphetamine and the other
He's not
amphetamine.
licensed to sell his
You
product
took
while they are.
You took what I was going to say, Scrappy.
They're exactly the same. The only difference is one's produced in a corporate lab,
Yeah.
and the other one's produced in the back 40 in some shack somewhere.
So now look, I agree with the whole pharmaceutical thing. The way you guys come to it or the way Heath comes to it's differently than, and I don't disagree with, that these drugs are potent and they are handed out to, I mean, like you said, there is definitely an issue with
Or fentanyl.
yeah,
Do you know
I
some
mean,
good old boys that know how to make fentanyl?
no, I
Because not
don't.
that I have experience, but I'll give you a hint. If you handed me if I was going to make some fentanyl right now, and I said I'm going to do it, I'm smart, you'd have to give me about $100,000 so I could buy some laboratory equipment and a place to do it. In other words, some good old boys from the hood,
Yeah,
from the trailer hood, they're not producing it.
right,
It's produced in a laboratory, which means what? Which means that it's regulated, which
right.
means it's acceptable.
That's right.
You know?
All right, let me finish out.
Cocaine.
Hang on, let me finish out this thing. It's just one
Okay.
little last paragraph, and then we can move on to something else. Case law was meant to be a tool for applying the Constitution, not a replacement for it. And when precedent conflicts with explicit text, the Constitution, the text must prevail. Under this legal system, it abandons precedent stacking and returns to the plain meaning of the written Constitution. The burden of the judicial failure falls directly on the American people. I would agree with that. We don't stand up enough. We don't stand up enough to, the corporatism that's in the courtroom, everything that goes along with that, to make them stand on constitutional law versus any case law. Because I went to a civics class. When we talk about civics, I was told anything that was not law made or whatever policy made that didn't align with the Constitution was void. Well, how many laws do you think that we have? I feel like there's millions of laws and they're all unconstitutional.
And I don't think it's fear. When I was younger, I thought, well, maybe people are just scared to do something. And the more as I get older, it's like I hate to say it, but I genuinely think that people don't give a shit.
I agree.
I mean,
it's not that. It's the same thing as we got all the way back to the Revolution. It was 3% of the
3%.
United States population of the colonists that stood up against the government, while the other 97% was fine with what they were doing.
Yeah.
They had no problem with it. It's called the sheeple. It's a sheep mentality. It's a mentality of go along to get along. And as long as I go along to get along, I don't have to worry about anything else until it comes to your front door. When it comes to your front door, it's a whole different matter.
Yeah, that's true.
And then there are those of us who say, you ain't bringing it to our front door. It ain't coming to our front. You try to bring it to our front door, you will be met with resistance And that was the 3% that stood up against the British government. And by the way, it kills me. It aggravates me to no end to hear these people say that the Revolutionary War was over a damn 2-cent tax on friggin' tea. No, it was not.
Well, I don't
It
know,
had nothing to
Scrappy.
do with the 2% tax.
I
It had
wasn't
everything
there.
and anything to do with the fact that the Brit in 1785 or 1784, the British government come to Concord to take all their guns and their ammo and their artillery. The first fight of the Revolutionary War was over the weapons, not friggin' tea.
Well,
tea was nothing more than a civil disobedience, is all it was, and it was years after the first shot fired around, that they say was heard around the world.
Yeah, George Washington was still at his annual meeting for the Hellfire Club in 1776. And people could do some research on the Hellfire Club. There was some other members that you may know of. Benjamin Franklin was also a member. They would get together in the downstairs in the basement of a cathedral and screw around with kids.
Oh God, man! I don't know about that shit. Where do you got to look for something like that on the fucking dark web or something? I mean, damn.
Just look it up.
I'm not, So, okay, we got 15 minutes left. So you want to talk Robert's Rule or flock cameras?
Let's go Robert's Rule. Let's go Robert's Rules because everybody's going on about Robert's Rules with the county commission. Kevin come up with a great little deal. He went and studied it, found out that the only time our county commission uses Robert's Rules is when they can use it for their advantage. They don't follow it in any other manner other than to use it to their advantage. When they want to shut somebody up, when they want to table an argument or make it look good.
What would be an example of a use of that rule other than shutting somebody up? A legitimate use of it.
Legitimate use? Yeah. Legitimate use of that argument would be what went down last Thursday. Legitimate use of that argument was that they violated their own rule, 6A, that said that any resolution that come up could not be handed to the clerk without two members of the commission, a motion and a second, not 3 meetings later that they add 2 commissioners to that.
Was that Dawn Reagan? Is that her name? And
Mike
Taylor. Yeah.
And Mike Taylor. Taylor, yeah. It started out, but the PPC resolution had only the commissioners, not a name, not a second, the commissioners on that list, in that line where it says resolution produced by or sponsored by the commissioners.
I will say this. Kevin brought it to our attention probably 2 months ago that this was going
that there were no sponsors.
There was no sponsors.
One.
Yeah,
on either one, and then all of a sudden, our clerk illegally put on the Phillips Park, the PPE, the commissioners, and then it was in what was it, the meeting on the 9th where they added
Nick Bright,
Tommy, and Nick. And Nick's like, don't put my name on there.
No.
But yet, last Thursday, only one dissenting vote. It wasn't Nick. It was Misty.
I thought it was
Misty
19
to 2.
Misty cast
1901.
No.
Misty was the only one that descended.
Hang on one second.
Check, make sure, but I think it was just Misty. On the
Yeah, I got a screenshot of it somewhere. Hang on. At least I thought I did. Let's see. Yeah, 19-2.
was it two? Well, then Steve Michaels would have been the other one.
Misty Davis and Steve Michaels. Yes, sir. Yep, that's it. Yep, 19-2.
Steve.
Yeah. So the Roberts rule, I know that Jared came in and tried to he tried to explain why some of what you were talking about, why it went that way under whatever. I'm not a legal scholar by any means. I don't know enough about the Roberts rule. I know that they claim it was named after Army officer Henry Robert, and he designed it as a standardized guide to help organize, run orderly democratic meetings, and I get that there has to be some type of form and function.
Well, it's basically when we would do debates, and and you had rules to follow during your debate, and to keep everything in order, and it not break out into a melee of name calling and a fist fight. You stated your position, and then your other opponent stated their position, and then you could allow other people to come and stand and state their opinion or their position as to why they agreed with this guy or agreed with that guy. And it's just a way of doing it in a civil, meaningful manner, but they don't debate at our county commission meetings. Basically, it is it's not even a conversation. It's basically
it says right here, the Sunshine Law and Open Meetings Act. It says by law in almost every state, such as the Tennessee Open Meetings Act, a governing body cannot deliberate, discuss, or make decisions on any topic that's not been formally placed on the public agenda. The trap: if a citizen brings up a niche issue during the public comment and a commissioner starts answering, other commissioners might chime in. The legal consequence: the spontaneous discussion quickly turns into a deliberation or an unannounced topic, and doing so violates the Sunshine Law, which can legally void any actions. They're afraid, like what happens to us, that it's going to get subverted into something else.
They're not supposed to take off and go for drinks and something to eat after the meeting and discuss topics of the meeting either. But do they do that?
They're also not supposed to go and discuss with other people while the meetings are going on. Mayor Mitchell, Brian Daniels.
That's where it goes.
At the zoning commission meeting where they took off and stood off to the side and had them a little powwow. That's illegal.
People need to do. They need to get on. They need to get
somebody
up there.
Somebody should have walked up to whoever was there that saw them do it. Should have had the balls to walk up and say,
find out.
I'm recording you right now. I got you on tape. I'm recording your ass, and I'm gonna put it on Facebook. You're violating the law right now. You are having a little meeting over here on the side.
So Scrappy, if it was that easy, we would be doing that already.
Find out which commissioners have signed a corporate non-disclosure agreement. They're not going to tell you. But what they will tell you is, well, hey, you present the question. Well, that's not a topic for that. We're not discussing that today. No, I'm not doing. Okay, well, I'm gonna notate that person. I know that they're not even willing to. They could just say, "Well, I've not signed one."
That'd be about as useful. That'd be about as useful as asking how many state representatives and senators and how many federal reps and senators are LLCs.
Yeah, but it'll give you. You'll have a little bit more of a rundown. You just follow the money. You're just getting a little breadcrumb trail so that you can say
Well, that's how
who it's not.
that's how they go into their public
You're
offices.
not looking for who's guilty.
Broke
You're looking for who's not.
AOC who had to take a little bit of a kickback from her first check so she could get an apartment, and all of a sudden within a year and a half she's a freaking multi-millionaire.
So it says public comment is input, not dialogue. Did you do you realize that's that terminology again where they
yeah.
So it says there's a legal distinction between a meeting of public and a meeting held in public.
In the public.
Yeah.
A commission meeting is a business meeting of the governing body designed to conduct county business. A public comment period is a legally structured as a one-way channel for citizens to state their opinions and put them on official record. It is not designed to be a town hall Q&A or a debate. So 21 people figured that out last Thursday. I would say there was a couple that were up there that had been there prior to, but it's exactly what they were doing. They were just basically putting themselves on official record. You know what I mean? So
have you ever been to a stockholders meeting?
No.
Stockholders meeting is the same thing.
I'd be curious to see how many of the people that have went on record are given the opportunity going forward. You know, like the censorship is obviously strong in this county. It's like I get up there, are they going to give me a chance to speak? Am I going to get 3 minutes? Will I get 3 minutes this week and next week, or this week and next month?
Hell, I didn't even get 3 minutes. They shut me down within 2 seconds. Within about 30 seconds. About 30 seconds, they shut me down.
Did you see something off topic?
Did you? Yeah, you might.
No, it was on. It was after the meeting. It was things not on the agenda. I was calling out a commissioner.
That's why. You can only.
I called out a commissioner. Never mentioned her name. I did not violate Robert Rule 5, which was personalities, but I got called out for personalities. Nick Bright and Steve Michael stood up for it, and this was the time that what's his name just lost.
Moon
was the chairman, and they called a vote. They called a vote on Steve and Nick wanted a vote to let me talk, let me finish what I was going to say, and the vote was yes, he can talk, no, he can talk. The yeses had it, but Moon said it lost because we didn't have a quorum.
So you can only address the chair because that guy Tom Robbins or Robinson, whatever his last name is. I'm not trying to. He came the week prior, and Nick was the chair. And as he was talking, he pointed at Ed Mitchell, and he turned around and got to Daniels
and Brian Daniels both. Yes,
he took his money out and walked over and talked about.
I'll buy $2. I'll buy that piece of property. I'll double your money. I'll double your money on that.
Nick didn't do anything. I mean, he tried there near the end. He
said you have to. He said
address the chair.
Order. You have to address the chair. You have to address the chair.
But Jared doesn't let that happen the same way. You know what I'm saying? He tries to. I wouldn't say he tries to. He does a good job of trying to keep something or another because nobody. It was just different. You know what I mean? And then the last thing here, it says the gotcha factor. Commissioners are public officials, but they're rarely experts on every single item in the county business. So if they answer a highly specific, complex question on the spot, such as zoning assessment, sewer infrastructure, tax, AI data centers, let's talk about what toxics. What's that?
Flock cameras.
Flock cameras. Let's talk about asbestos removal or toxins and stuff like that. They risk giving inaccurate information that gets printed in the local paper, accidentally making verbal comments that holds legal or financial liability, and looking unprepared on a topic they haven't briefed with their department heads. They fit all of that. You know what I'm saying? They look like that up there all the time. And, No, I don't expect them to be experts on anything. I expect them to, if they don't understand what's going on at that particular time, that they need to kick that can down to the next meeting and continue to debate it and dialogue it. And when people are up there giving their voices, I think you shouldn't be allowed to use personal preferences like your grandchildren or your mother to make a decision because that removes you from your constituents. That takes their choice away.
You also can't use your area that you live in and try and make it when the road that you live on is a direct route, a side route to South Knoxville, nowhere near Townsend, nowhere near the Smoky Mountain area, unless you're going to go down Chapman Highway into Sevierville. But nobody's traveling on Burnett Station to bypass anything going into Townsend. They're bypassing everything to go into South Knoxville, so they don't have to go all the way to end of 411 at Boyd's Creek and turn to go back into Seymour and South Knoxville. So he sounded like he just wanted to put his name out there, want to put his opinion out there and try and outdo Akers using his dead mama so he could use his grandchildren to say that pillar signal will stop the traffic coming on my road. No, it will not, dumbass. That traffic's going way past your road.
So Ron
your
French
doesn't need that way.
He did it first, and then Akers followed up a few minutes later, or however it worked. But Kim Tipton says Daniels is the chair. Brian Daniels is the chair.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Brian Daniels, if Blount County is smart, the people of Blount County, Brian Daniels will have write-in vote for mayor, write-in vote for Akers' position, write-in vote for everybody who's running for county commission. Brian Akers' name ought to be right there as a write-in every.
You said Brian Akers.
Brian Daniels, sorry. Brian Daniels' name should be a write-in for every position that is up to vote on that damn county commission and mayor. You know, we can still write in. We still have to check. You know, even though he won the primary, we still have to check his name in. And so I think everybody's pissed off. Write in Brian Daniels. It ain't gonna do nothing, but it'll send a damn message. It'll send a damn hard message to him that if Brian Daniels wins the write-in vote, then or takes about 2,000 to 5,000 people out of the vote numbers, then I think it'll send a message.
Possible. I think Heath froze up on us, but that's a good.
Yeah.
It's a good picture of you, man. You got a nice smile going on right there. You know, kind of like you're
you hear me?
in deep thought. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having.
You're like
looks a little stoned.
You look like I did Tuesday when my damn.
I don't know what's going on.
You're all right. We're fixing to end the show anyway. We'll catch up on flight cameras and whatever rabbit hole we decide to go down next Thursday if you guys want to.
Happily.
Oh, by the way, Tuesday, before we get out of here, Tuesday, July 28th at 7:00 at Maryville Billiards. Come out, have a casual conversation, shoot some pool, eat a little bit of food, have a drink, whatever it is, adult beverage or non-adult beverage, whatever.
Doing the darts. Bringing my darts.
Throw a dart, whatever, come out and say hi. Meet some of us. We'll finally get to meet all of us together. Hopefully all of us will be there at the same time. We can do this group photo, you know what I'm saying? And something like that. So, yeah. Also, today is my dad's birthday. We call him old man. Technically, he's my stepdad, but when my dad died when I was 14, he stepped up. I wouldn't say he stepped up. They were already married, but he never batted an eye. So he's 72 today. So we give a shout out to old man. He should be there Tuesday.
I told you I got his birthday present.
I talked to him today.
Happy birthday.
I'm sure he's heard it. So but I did talk to him before the show started to let him know not to forget. So let's see what he says. Why should we write Daniels in? He already has his position. You're just saying write in Daniels. Why?
Just to send a message to those that are sitting there that think that they've got a seat that is held in.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
He's gone. Look there. He'll be back in just a second. Somebody's calling him or something, So look,
Yeah. I don't know. My cameras both just shut down.
So on Tuesday, mine did a glitch and it only brought up my Resolute Exposure, and you can only hear me audio.
Yeah, we got Zoran over here.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. So anyway,
but it just send a message to them. If you cut out if their voting numbers drop, they'll get a message. They'll get a message that the next time they come up for election, they may not get the votes that they need to get voted in.
Oh, there he goes.
Yeah.
So, look and see, your thing is on there the same as mine was last week. So as soon as he pops in, we'll get the hell out of here, and I'll play a little bit of People on the Porch.
All right, I'm no longer Zoran. I'm back to being Gandalf. So.
You're Gandalf. Yeah, no shit, sir. Well, guys, I will see you all on Tuesday, and yeah, man, we'll figure out the flock camera things because I think that's pretty interesting. I think it's going to be the next thing on the agenda.
That is the big thing that's going to have to be on the agenda.
Very true. All right, brothers, I will talk to you later.
Hey, have a good one.
Right.
Thanks for having us.
Have a good one.
Yes, sir.
See you Tuesday.
See you Tuesday, Scrappy. All right, it's just me. It's just Brian. That's just Resolute Exposure. That's just caught up. And, for a year and a half to 2 years, I talked into this thing all by myself to nobody. Sometimes Kim, sometimes Ed Reno would pop in every once in a while. But for the longest time, I talked to no one and no comments, no likes, no nothing. So it's a breath of fresh air to get a couple other people to come on the show and on the Caught Up show, which obviously doesn't really focus on much of a lot of things. I mean, I try to keep a topic in place, but again, the rabbit holes are fun. Whether you agree with all of it or you don't agree with all of it, man, the rabbit holes, they're definitely fun. And so, this show's not for everybody. It never was meant to be for everybody. And then once we get past this flock camera thing, and we'll talk a little bit of national things that are going on. We'll include Trump in some things and all that other stuff, because that's just a whole nother rabbit hole for Heath to go down and Scrappy to try to defend it and me go, where the hell is this going? Which makes for some interesting content. So anyway, Tuesday at 7:00, Maryville Billiards. We're not doing a show Tuesday night. I may pop in and do something live real quick just to show it's either me all by myself and everybody's giggling off in internet land, or there's a good group of people that have found a way to get together and have a good time and discuss nothing or everything as it should be. So with that being said, y'all have a good evening. Peace out.
My heart, pumping all day long. Get me the morning when darkness comes. My heart, ooh.
I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna head on home before it gets too late. I turn it upside down and be thankful for what he gave. I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna hold on tight to you when it gets rough. I'm gonna lay down all my cards and call your bluff. Because the one thing in this moonlit room I trust is the beauty of your smile and the warmth inside your touch. Oh, there's nothing like a love, nothing like a love of a woman. The way she holds you tight, the way she holds you tight when you need it most. It gives you just that little bit, just to keep on living. And that's when you find out what you're made of. I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna head on home before it gets too late. I turn it upside down and be thankful for what he gave. I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna hold on tight to you when it gets rough. I'm gonna lay down all my cards and call your bluff. Because the one thing in this moonlit room I trust is the beauty of your smile and the warmth inside your touch. Oh, there's nothing like love, nothing like love of a woman. The way she holds you tight, way she holds you tight when you need it most. It gives you just that little bit, just to keep on living. And that's when you find out what you're made of. That's when you find out. That's when you find out what you're made of.